Stop, please. The episode will start in a moment. I've messed up the audio. I don't know what's going on. I've fixed it to the best of my ability. How it sounds is like, this bothers me a lot. This bothers me a lot. Because to me, I think the episode is listenable. If you don't think it is, I apologize. Because I understand, like how some people are with audio. If it's a certain level of bad, they're just like, I just can't do this for an hour. Totally get it. That's why I'm upset. So I did my best. Maybe I'm taking this too seriously. Okay, enjoy the episode. The audio's bad. Good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Date today is the 8th of January, year of our Lord 2024. Welcome to yet another edition of The Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle. R.I.P. Arthur Smith. Rip King no longer has a job in Atlanta. I gotta tell you, I gotta address, I just gotta put it out there. I'm upset, I'm cranky, because I just recorded the best 8 minutes I've ever recorded to open a show. I was just on it immediately. And wouldn't you know it, the mic was not plugged in. Shame on me for switching around USBs as much as I do and for being as cable obsessed as I am. I have so many cables and cords and microphones and shit that I can just plug into different stuff for no reason. For no reason at all. And the problem with that is sometimes I'll just unplug my mic just to like plug in something and then be like, "Ooh, that was cool," and then I'll unplug. And so, well, if it isn't the consequences of my actions, sometimes the microphone's not plugged in. So let's get back into it. Arthur Smith no longer has a job. If I'm a Falcons fan, what am I thinking right now? Oh my God. Kyle Pitts has a career again? Oh my God. Oh, okay. Drake London is going to have a career. Yes. It was in question sometimes. We weren't so sure all the time. Didn't always get the ball a lot. But he's going to be okay. All right. Thank God. Got to get this quarterback thing sorted out. But Bijan Robinson, 70-something odd yard touchdown against the Saints. That looked pretty cool. That was fast as hell. That looked awesome, Bijan. Nice. That looked awesome. But we got to get this quarterback thing figured out, right? I think it's Justin Fields. I do. I've been putting this stealth word out there for so long. I have to do it in secrecy because Bears fans don't seem to like it. Falcons fans, I don't know. Maybe they've warmed up to it, but they have never seemed to like it whenever I've tried to kind of poke at it, throw it out there. They're like, no, shut the hell up. We're happy with Desmond Ridder. I don't think you are anymore. Not that many Falcons fans were really ever that psyched about Desmond Ridder, to be fair. Whatever. Here's the problem in Chicago, right? Oh, my God, I'm sorry. I have to derail myself. I got to tell you something. I got to tell you this. Was at a diner the other day. Stella's Diner, for my Chicago listeners. It was Stella's Diner on Broadway, right off of Belmont. So it's up there, right? And this guy and this woman were sitting right behind me. I swear to God, I think they were on a first date. Like, based on what the surrounding dialogue to this was, I think this had to be what it was. And he sat there and bulldozed for 20 minutes talking about, so if the Bears beat the Packers on Sunday, then the Bears probably won't go to the playoffs, but the Packers also won't go to the playoffs. And then also it would be good because the Bears actually own Carolina's draft pick this year, and the Panthers are going to be playing the Bucks, and there's no way that they're going to win. Spoiler alert, he was right. They did not. They lost 9-0. Barn burner in Carolina. And that would be good because we own their pick, and they already have the first pick. And also, we'll see what happens with Justin Fields, but this is a big game for him. Dude, he was doing this for like 20 minutes. And she's sitting there like, oh, wow. Like, so what does it mean to own their pick? Like, what does that mean? I was like, this poor woman. Maybe I was reading too much into it. Maybe I got a bad read on the situation, and they were like, I don't know, old friends or something catching up. But the vibe was like it was very first day vibes, and I felt horrible that I just couldn't stop listening to this conversation. My girlfriend was like trying to talk to me, and I was like, I'm sorry, please stop talking to me. I need to listen to what they're talking about. So I want to know how that guy's feeling right now. Because if you're a Bears fan, what do you want to do with Justin Fields? It seems to be like a 50-50 split from what I've seen based on the surrounding dialogue, right? I think you trade him to Atlanta. I don't know. And then it's like literally take your pick, whatever quarterback you want. There are literally 100 of them in this draft. You can take however many of that. You don't even have to take one now. You can just trade the pick again if you really want to. You can trade the pick. You can trade down kind of early. You can trade down late if you want. There are a million quarterbacks in this draft who play a million different ways. You can take whoever you want. It's a dream scenario for the Chicago Bears. A true A24 sponsored by Nicolas Cage scenario, if you know what I mean. That was a real bummer of a game, though. Did Matt Eberflus kind of save his job? Sneaky, are we talking about Matt Eberflus like he actually might still have a job next year? What's the temperature on that? What's the read on that? And maybe this will age terribly. I mean, of all days to be doing does this guy still maybe have a job? This is a bad day to be doing it because at any moment, truthfully, I should be like refreshing this. I mean, Ron Rivera just got fired. The truth, I should be refreshing this as I'm doing this. But I feel like maybe he did, just because if you think about how we were talking about the Bears, 10 weeks ago, we were talking about them as like one of the worst teams of the last like 20 years. Remember that game after the Broncos? It was the Broncos game, I think. Compared to now, we're talking about them almost kind of having like what the Lions did last year. Not as good. To be fair, not as good. But it's similar. And I think you got to give Eberflus credit for that. And I think there's a world where he is still the guy. But we'll see. Trade Justin Fields to Atlanta. Let's talk about the playoffs a little bit. Matthew Stafford's coming home. I don't think there are a lot of ways to describe this other than like sometimes sports, at the risk of sounding like that fucking guy, sometimes sports happen in a way that is like, what? Like, how did this happen? It's like if you told me at the beginning of the season that this was going to happen, I would be like, ha, 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 good script, right? But like, anyways, to put a proverbial bow on what has been the most win-win and successful trade in the history of the NFL, this Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford swap, the Rams a couple of years ago put all their chips in the middle. They're like, we need the quarterback. We just need a guy playing at a different level, in a different way. They went and got Matthew Stafford. They went house broke, basically, but they won the Super Bowl. And that's why you do it. Okay, at that point, who cares? We achieved it. We did it. Who cares? Who cares what happens? Remember how we were talking about the Rams a year ago? Well, who cares? They went all in. They got the Super Bowl. They're stripping everybody for parts. You know what I mean? They're getting anything that they can. They're shedding money however they can. Like, it's over. But they won the Super Bowl, so who cares? Beginning of this season, the Rams are winning a few games here and there. And we're talking about them like they played a game against the Colts. Matthew Stafford all banged up, gets hurt, like comes back. And we're talking about like, wow, the Rams were really scrappy. Like, good for them. Like, good for the Rams. Treating them like they're like a Make-A-Wish kid. That's Aaron Donald. That's Cooper Kupp. Who's that 17? Who's that 7? Is that Puka Nacua? You know what I mean? And by the way, that quarterback is still Matthew Stafford. He's still that gunslinger. You know what I mean? It's still him. And to have him come back to Detroit to a Jared Goff-led team that just led to the team to more wins than Matthew Stafford ever got with them, to a division title that Matthew Stafford never got for us, to come back to that environment. Matthew Stafford hasn't played in Ford Field since he left. We've played the Rams, but that was in SoFi. That was 2 years ago. The Lions had won like 3 games that year, right? DeAndre Swift was still here. Which, to be fair, that wasn't even that long. That was a year ago. That's not that crazy of a reference. But Matthew Stafford has not played in Detroit yet. And his first game back will be the first home playoff game in the history of Ford Field. Almost the house that he built, that he and Calvin built, to be fair. Because that's the thing. To me, Matthew Stafford is Detroit sports. To me, it's that guy. The Mount Rushmore would be like Stevie. Take your pick from like the going to work guys, right? Isaiah Thomas. I would put Matthew Stafford on there. And then like Miguel, you'd have to put Miguel on there. And then I'm definitely leaving somebody out, and it's going to be insane. Who am I forgetting? But like Matthew Stafford to me, oh well, Calvin. People would put Calvin instead of Matthew Stafford, right? Which honestly, statistically, would make more sense. But to me, it's Matthew Stafford. He is like, I'm obsessed with him. I love him. I fucking love Matthew Stafford. This is going to break my heart. Truthfully, this is going to rip me to pieces when this happens. Win or lose, right? Win or lose. And for all intents and purposes, I think we're going to win. I think it's going to happen. I want to tell you something about the Lions. And I'm saving this, I'm going to repeat this a little bit. If we lose in the playoffs at any point, I will repeat this point. So maybe in a week I'll be doing this. Truthfully, I have appreciated every moment of this season. I have. And there's no but, that's it. I have done such a good job of being like, this football team is the best they have ever been. If not just in my life, then literally ever, the best that they have ever been. I've never known what it feels like to have a football team this good. And football, runs our culture, right? This is, what almost everybody knows. Oh, yeah, when I was growing up, or, almost everybody has, one experience. Even if it's not, I'm not even just talking about Super Bowls. I'm talking about just a good team. You went to, you made it to, the divisional round or something, right? Just something. You got a playoff win. Just something. There was one season. David Garrard did something. You know what I mean? I don't know. Everybody has that one season. We had nothing. Our seasons were, oh, yeah, I remember going 0-16. I remember that. Yeah. I remember everybody loves to show the video of Matthew Stafford getting his shoulder dislocated against the Cleveland Browns in 2010 or 2011, right? And he's like, no, get the fuck off me. I can play. And he still throws the touchdown and we win. Everybody loves to show that clip. That game was blacked out. People in the state couldn't even watch the game. I was watching it on the ESPN StatCast, where it would throw the ball. There would be an animation when there was a pass, and then if it would run, but you couldn't watch the game. It was just it would just type out this is the play that just happened. That's how we had to watch that. And I read Matthew Stafford throws a touchdown pass, and I ran outside to my brother and to our friends who we were all playing outside, and I was like, we did it, Matthew Stafford did that. But we didn't know anything about that, which is crazy. He was my childhood. And at the risk of continuing to go off track and, derailing this, you know what people forget, I think, in the paradigm of Detroit sports fandom, is how much Verlander ran this shit for a while. And I think it's because we're so far removed from it. But my favorite thing growing up, truthfully, everybody that I ever knew that met Verlander, that bumped into him in public, they all said the exact same thing. He's a fucking asshole. Everybody said the same thing, that they were like, hey, anybody approached him in a myriad of different ways. It was never about that. He was always just don't fucking talk to me. Get away from me. Leave me alone. And there's something about that you respect, and there's something about that you're like, all right, dude, not all the time, right? Not all the time. Can't always be like this. Whatever. Maybe you can. Maybe you can always be like that if you want. I don't know. Matthew Stafford's coming home. The game against the Vikings, do I have any brief takeaways? Nah. Who cares? My main takeaway, when I talk about how I appreciated every single game, truthfully, I was very conscious of the fact that this is the last game I'll be able to watch this season where it's okay if we lose. Because now, if the Lions lose, It's over. Just a few more NFL notes that I got for you in the chamber. One that I was kind of cooking all year that I'd like to unchamber now officially. I'd like to unveil it. I'd like to cut the ribbon. We've played 17 games this year. We've watched 18 weeks worth of tape. I think Sam Howell is just kind of good. And it really pains me to say it as somebody who has historically said that North Carolina quarterbacks cannot play in the NFL because they have not. Even though there are currently 2 and there are about to be 3, as another one is set to be drafted inside of the top 5, you think? 7? Top 7? I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out. Sam Howell is just good. And he was playing a Cowboys defense in yesterday's game. And shame on me for believing for 2 seconds that between the Giants and the Commanders, they would be able to each upset their respective opponents in the Cowboys or the Eagles, and then the Lions would be able to get the 2 seed. Shame on me for believing that because Micah Parsons has a pulse, and it was never going to happen. It was never going to happen, right? But Sam Howell, for so many games this year, was good for like 300 yards. And just from that sense, like he kind of got me through some fantasy weeks where I was like, I just need something. I just need a miracle. And he kind of got me there some weeks. So am I talking strictly from a fantasy perspective? Not necessarily just fantasy, but like just from a yak merchant perspective. He's not even really a yak merchant, though. He's not that type of quarterback. That's more like Brock Purdy. But again, just to be clear, I forgot, we have new listeners to the show. When we call somebody a yak merchant on this show, that is a good thing. You're a point guard. You get the ball to your playmakers in space. That's a good thing. We do not disparage you for that on this show. What else did we have in the chamber today? Well, not today, but yesterday. Yeah, the Eagles game was just insane. I mean, at least the Eagles collapsed late enough into the season that they still got into the playoffs. Like at least you weren't the Jags, you know what I mean? And you collapsed too early. And then at the 11th hour, you just needed to win a game against the Titans. And you were like, no, not going to do that. No, I don't really feel like it. Watching Redzone after the Lions game was hilarious. Shout out to Scott Hansen, man. I'm so sad that Redzone is gone until September. Like, oh, no Scott Hansen until September? What is he going to do? Is he employed gainfully until then? Scott Hansen? But he was funny because we're switching back and forth between games that quote-unquote matter. Between the Eagles game, the Cowboys game, and the Packers-Bears game, right? Sometimes they'd flash to the Chargers-Chiefs game, but eventually even they kind of turned off. They were like, we don't need to keep showing this. Dude, they didn't show Raiders-Broncos until like the second quarter. I didn't even know it was on. And then at some point, they just kind of had to show that game. And I was like, oh, thank God we're seeing this game because the stakes here truly could not be higher in Las Vegas, folks. Oh, my God. Thank God we have this game. Even the Chargers-Chiefs game was technically meaningless. There was literally nothing going on in that game. Except Blaine Gabbert at the end of that game scrambles for like 20 yards. Huh? I love that Blaine Gabbert is also still wearing like the original Revo Speed. He won't even put on a Speed Flex. He's like, no. I wore this helmet at Missouri. I'm going to fucking die in this helmet. I'm going to be fucking buried in this helmet. This is what I wear. Anybody who still rocks the like original Revo Speed shell is such a hardo. Even, did Tyrann Matthew switch? I don't remember what he wears now, but I feel like he's switched since. Like, he hasn't worn the original Honey Badger in a while. I don't remember what he wears now, though. I think this conversation maybe is a little bit too alienating for people to be talking about helmets. I'm going to keep doing it, though, because I haven't really done it on this show. I think it's funny that Tua essentially got a helmet made specifically for him because he just couldn't stop getting concussed. And then it just kind of became quarterback fashion in the Visus that he wears. I also love the 808, the little bend that the face mask has with the 808 that oh my God, I love that so much. Shout out to Marcus Mariota for popularizing the 808. I don't think he technically invented it, but he was like the first person of note, I'm pretty sure, to wear it, right? And then after that, and then Baker was, I guess, technically the second like big boy to wear it. Second Heisman winner to wear the 808? Yeah, I think so. Wow, this conversation, this, you know what? This segment kind of didn't go the direction that I wanted it to go, but if you appreciate helmet discourse in football, that one was for you. Let's get out of here. Let's move on. All right, let's get into some emails. copingoursubs@gmail.com is the email. Subject line, Cade injured. We back manic. From Kendall. Happy 1 a.m. Cade injured, so it's time to blow this thing up. Can Detroit Deadbeats trade Jaden Ivey and Monty Williams for Scoot Henderson and Chauncey Billups? Is this possible? Fire Troy Weaver. Hire Sam Presti. It's the only way to save you. Shea for MVP. Monty Williams commits yet another heinous act of malpractice. Yeah, Kendall, this email is insane. I got a take for you. If Cade's going to be out for a really, really long time, which we don't know as of this recording, again, I keep bringing things up that might age poorly. We will know very shortly if Cade's going to be okay or not. We just might not within the duration of this recording. But if he's going to be out for even 2 weeks, this thing's going to get ugly. This thing's going to get really ugly. If Cade misses any time at all, shit is going to go bad. I'm looking at a Lakers team. Hear me out. Now hear me out. You may already know where I'm going, but hear me out. I'm looking at a Lakers team that hates their coach. The Lakers are like a week away from a mutiny against Darvin Ham. I suggest, and again, stay with me. Don't get ahead. I suggest that we take Monty Williams and we put him somewhere else, so to speak. We say, Monty Williams, you are a pretty decent coach when you're just like a babysitter. When you're just like managing egos and like you have Chris Paul. Well, what if we gave you LeBron instead? What if we gave you LeBron and like Austin Reeves and like Cam Reddish? Oh, and then also Anthony Davis will be there too. Does he have pre-existing beef with Anthony Davis? I don't remember if there was what the overlap was with New Orleans. So forgive me if I'm forgetting something there. Surely there's history though. What if we did that? And what happens with Darvin Ham? Shoot him into the sun. Hey, he's a Pistons legend. I don't know. Do you want Darvin Ham? Hey, whoa. Does Troy Weaver like that? Just bring in a former Piston to like bring back that like going to work? I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Okay? If you don't even want to keep Monty Williams, don't. Promote Jarrett Jack for the rest of the season if you want, for all I care. I don't. Whatever. Who cares? Promote Johnny Kane for all I fucking care. That'd be sick. Johnny Kane is head coach. Smooth Johnny. I'd like that. Smooth Johnny for coach 2024. There are ways around this. There are ways to make things better, I think. I'm a little concerned though. Because again, if we don't have Cade, was it a strained knee was the official report. If you don't have him for a month, dude, we're staring down the barrel of another losing streak. Like we had an emailer a week ago. I think they were talking from a Bobcats perspective when they were rooting for the 7-57 team. And they were like, just so you know, you're probably going to have another losing streak this long again this season. Like between the All-Star break, post-All-Star, like this is going to happen again. And even though I read it on the show in my head and I didn't end up saying this because I didn't want to be rude, but I was like, that's dumb. Like, no, we're not. Like the odds of that happening are just, it's not going to happen. Well, I'm really glad I didn't say that now. And it's very big of me to admit that I didn't say this before because I'm still not saying it, that was dumb. Because now I'm like, oh my God, that's going to be us. You know? Nobody's walking through that door. Dude, that OG Anunoby trade terrified me. It didn't just confuse me even more on like how we value trades and like who actually, okay, so wait, what's valuable now? What is like more valuable now between the picks and the players and I don't know, it confuses me. Not only that, what I can tell you is even if I'm confused and a little bit disillusioned by that, what I can tell you is Detroit just doesn't have enough. Like the price went up and we're getting killed by inflation. Whatever Detroit needs to expend to land somebody that can come in here and fix this, like we don't have it. We're turning our pockets inside out, like dust fucking plumes are coming out. We got nothing. Cobwebs and shit. We're like sorting through like coins and shit in our hand, and there's like buttons, and like we're like, I'm not good for it. I don't have it. Can I have a Lauri Markkanen? And the Jazz are like, what? Kicking us off the fucking doorstep, down the stairs. The Pistons don't got it, man. They don't got it. Subject line, Celtics fastball. Coming to us from Nick H, actually, not a burner email. It's a picture of Darius Garland on the profile, so obviously it's not me. Obviously, it's not me. Darius Garland. Here's the problem, though. I can't read the email. I'm not going to blame it on how it was written. I'm not going to do that because that would be lesser of me. But I would if I could. But I won't, so I can't. But Nick wants me to talk about the Celtics, so I'm going to talk about the Celtics. It finally happened. We got to the Celtics part of the Coping Hour. Took 18 episodes. But we're going to talk about Boston because here's the thing. I love them. I love the Celtics. I do. I don't, actually. As like an entity and as a team, as an organization, I don't. But the guys that they have on that team, love every single one of them. I was reading an article that was like, are the Celtics going to get 5 players in the All-Star game? Nope. No. And then they were like, only a few teams historically have ever gotten 4. And then they rattled off a few and didn't name the Pistons. Oh, whoops. Whoops. Glaring omission of history there. Glaring suppression of history there. The Score. Or sorry, I don't want to defame The Score. I don't remember who wrote it. I'm sorry, The Score. I don't think it was you guys. But here's the thing. Derrick White? Yes. Derrick White? Yes. All-Star. Has to be this year. Has to be an All-Star this year. Absolutely has to be. What are these articles coming out? Why is it... What fucking interview did Derrick White give that... Well, I know what interview he went on JJ Redick's podcast. But did JJ lead with, hey, has anyone ever given you some advice? And now every article that I've seen about Derrick White in the last, 3 days has been like, Derrick White shares advice that he got from Greg Popovich. And Greg Popovich was like, make sure you're giving everybody towels and water. Derrick White was like, that's really good advice. Okay, I'm going to do that. Spurs legend. Gave everybody towels and water. And then Derrick White recalls great advice that he got from DeMar DeRozan. And Derrick White was like getting discouraged that he was he was putting a hand up and dudes were just like hitting shit over him. And DeMar was like, these dudes are good. I don't know what to tell you. Is the real quote. Is the real fucking quote. DeMar DeRozan was like, I don't know what to tell you. Derrick White was like, yeah, these guys are good. And then he was like, it just clicked. Like, dudes are going to make shots. Which is, admittedly, really technically good advice. Really funny advice. Really hilarious way to frame it. But he's been great. Like, offensive renaissance season for Derrick White. He's been awesome. Jason Tatum, world eater. Jason Tatum, to me, is still like, I'm never going to be able to say that he's the best player in the league. Because Giannis has a pulse. Jokic has a pulse. There are some nights where Embiid, I'm like, whoa. But when Jason Tatum is at the helm, here's what I know about the Celtics. I trust them. Which is funny because I think that's actually part of this email. I think this is how he closes it, where he's like, I don't trust the Celtics. It's funny because there are like 2 teams in the East that for some reason, it's something about them. I'm just like, I know they're going to be fine. It's Boston and it's Milwaukee. Like, I can sit here and you know what I'd love to say about Milwaukee is like they're never going to lose in the first round. Like, I know they're at least always good for a quarterfinals. The second round, they're always good for the second round. They're not sneaky. They're not, though, right? Don't put Miami in front of Milwaukee in the first round of the playoffs would be the joke here. Here's the thing. You know who that is this year? It's Indiana. If I'm Milwaukee, not to take this off of Boston for a second, but if I'm Milwaukee, am I looking at the Pacers and I'm like, please, God, nothing scares me, but that thing terrifies me. Like, do not put the Pacers. They just match up horribly against Indiana. I think actually as of this recording on Monday, I'm pretty sure Boston plays Indiana tonight. So that one will be interesting. But here's the thing. The Natty's on tonight. I have to watch the national championship game. Sorry. But I trust them. I trust the Celtics. And Jaylen Brown, here's a Jaylen Brown spiel. Probably the smartest dumb guy in the league. Has to be. I love when he just will post shit on his story where he's like, I am going to become the universe. And everybody's like, wow. Wow, Jaylen Brown. What a crucial intellectual mind that we have in Jaylen Brown. And it's like, is this what happens when you take one semester of like fucking anything at Cal Berkeley? Is you turn into this guy? Oh my God. What happens if you're there for like a full bachelor's? Jesus. There have been plenty of times in my life where I'm like, wow, what a profound thing to say, Jaylen Brown. Like, he said some shit. But then there are other times where he's like, I'm the grass. I'm like, okay, what the fuck? Okay, Jaylen Brown. Kristaps Porzingis, here's the thing about him. I don't even actually have a joke about him. It's more of like actual commentary. Is after the game that they played against the Pistons, which may have been like one of the best games of the season, by the way. Like in the NBA, honestly, it may have been. Went to overtime. People who were at the game, it was like they got it as like probably just like a bullshit Christmas, like, hey, the Pistons are coming to town, like tickets are $10. You want to go to this game? Yeah, sure, why not? I think we even got an email about that actually, where a guy was like, we literally went because like who cares? And then because they were playing the Pistons and they're in the middle of this huge streak, it like kind of became this fun thing for them. And then it turns out that ended up being a huge game. You know why it was a huge game? Kristaps Porzingis. And I don't remember who it was, but after the game, they were like, that's why the Celtics have Kristaps Porzingis, is because of games like that, right? To be that big and to be able to blow by anybody and to be able to shoot over the top of most anybody is insane. He's so good, man. He's so good. It's wild, like the just sort of narratively what his career has been, because you know ultimately on this show that's what we care more about is the narratives of people's career instead of what the actual perpetuity of it. The Celtics are fun, but here's the thing: is if they go up against Milwaukee in the playoffs, nah, you know what? Sneaky though. I don't want to do this. I'm taking the Bucks. We might be approaching a time where I need to introduce a segment called Emails That I'm Not Going to Read. And it would be headlines. It would be headlined by ones like this from Devin. Subject line, LeBron and Bronny shower debacle. Now, I'm not going to read to you this sick fan fiction that this guy wrote in. But it's hefty. There's a lot to it. And he's basically emailing in about like the NBA circle jerk adjacent. What's gonna happen when LeBron and Bronny are on the same team? Are they gonna? I'm not reading that shit on the show. I'm not reading your sick fanfic on the show, freak. There's another one in here. I'm really trying to find it. Yeah, from Elliot. Elliot, subject line, Caitlin Clark. Hey Nick, I am gonna read this full email because I swear to God, he's being serious. I know he's being serious. Hey, Nick. Big fan of the show. I have a quick question for you, which I see online. Since so far it's legal for the NBA to draft women, it's done it before. Do you think an NBA team should consider drafting Caitlin Clark? She looks like an offensive machine, and in terms of height and weight, looks to be a similar build to Trae Young. Even if you had to hide her on defense, surely that would be enough for at least a second-round pick. Curious to hear your thoughts. Thanks, Elliot. I don't know. Maybe he's not being serious. I love the idea that, like... I just love the idea. Because but there would have to be a camera on her somewhere. Like, in, like, a WWE... Like a fucking sheet comes up and Caitlin Clark is like in the green room. Actually, she was in disguise as like an NBA player the whole time. She knew she was gonna get drafted because just the shot. And people would like she would come out on the fucking stage and it would be Caitlin Clark shaking if it was in the second round, she would be shaking Mark Tatum's hand. Right? The people in the crowd, oh my fucking God, it's Caitlin Clark! Whoa! Oh my God! And then she just goes to like the Hornets. And she's out of the league in 3 years. Not because she was bad, just because she played for the Hornets. I'm sorry, Hornets fans. Pulling up in this video like the fucking 50 Cent meme. Like, I just woke up. What did he say fuck me for? I'm sorry, Hornets fans. You're right. I could have easily made that joke about the Pistons if it makes you feel any better. I just didn't. Because that's my team. I could have made that joke about the Wizards, too. You know who I can't make that joke about? The Orlando Magic. And in years past, I easily could have. In years past, I probably did. Because we were in the same boat. We were on the same level. We could make fun of each other. We were in it together. And then Orlando was like, we're going to go be good now. Like, you guys have fun here, Detroit. We're the Orlando Magic. We have Paulo now. We have the Wagners now. Cole Anthony, yeah, he cut his hair. Ever fucking heard of him? He cut his hair. We're going to go be good now. And me as a Detroit fan, I was like, please don't. Please don't do this. They were like, it's too late. It's too late. It's the middle of December, and we're really fucking good. We're really good. All right, fine, Orlando. What do you think we should do? And Orlando's like, draft Caitlin Clark. I don't know. Let's move on. I got an email at some point last week. I don't remember if I made an individual video or if I wore this hat in like a pod. I don't remember when I wore this hat, but I wore this hat for something that I uploaded. Somebody emailed and they were like, about some, it's like the Chiefs or the Texans, something about football. And they were like, P.S. your hat, like, are you into like some environmental, like what? And I was like, no, oh my God, no, oh my God, no. This is just from a TV show. And if you don't know what TV show it's from, it's called The Curse. It's on Showtime. You're probably thinking, I don't have Showtime. What the fuck? Who has Showtime? That's fine. It's actually very readily available to illegally stream, which I am not encouraging you to do, by the way. I'm only pointing that out just to say, I'm pointing it out as like a matter of fact, like, whoa, wow, it's like maybe almost, is it too easy to illegally stream this? Whoa. We shouldn't take it away just yet. Maybe we should, at this point, if people, the episode's already out, people have probably already downloaded it. Like, it's already out. It's already happened. We might as well, you know, the finale's this Thursday. We might as well just let the people illegally stream it for like one more week. And then after that, maybe we can look at it or something. Dude, I was reading this thing like 6 months ago at this point. That was like the government is going to get pressured to crack down on some of these streaming sites. And I will never be the one who says the name of them on camera into a microphone. I'll never be that guy. I say that. I'm also the guy who will say it in quote-unquote private when I'm around my phone. And it's, well, but the government's not going to fucking listen to my... This one's already going off the rails, and I feel like I've said too many paranoid things recently. Although, I will say, I give Pistons fans a lot of credit because Troy Weaver and Cade Cunningham going on the Woj podcast did not cause nearly as much shit as I thought it was going to. So I am crazy then. So now I am crazy for uploading the video that I did. Okay. Kind of makes me, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to zag here. That makes me feel better that I am the only one who saw that, because that means that it's nothing. Good. That means that it's nothing. And that I was reading too much into it and I was being too online. But that's okay. Because as I said at the beginning of that video, that's what I do. That's what we do around here, folks, at the Coping Hour. I also think I found like such a perfect... I give myself a little bit of flack for naming the show sort of as haphazardly as I did. Like, I just kind of... I made a joke a couple weeks ago about a guy who wanted some advice, and he emailed into the show. He was like, I'm going to be starting a podcast in 2024. And I was like, that's a very planned life that you live. Like, when I started the show, it was because I had the idea that day. Technically, like, not really. I had been doing tests for something. I knew I was going to be doing something. So I'd been testing a bunch of microphones and cameras and different like shit in OBS and whatnot, and like DaVinci for weeks and like rehearsing and stuff. And then the day that I started doing the show, I just kind of woke up and was like, yeah, I'm just doing it today. And then I was like, oh yeah, I have to name it and I'll do a whole bunch of stuff. And the Coping Hour just came up. It just kind of happened. I say all this to say it was kind of a very happy accident, because 90% of the show, if you listen to it, is literal cope. Me talking about Cade and me talking about the Pistons and me talking about the Lions. And I did that subconsciously. You're probably like, yeah, obviously. No, I did that on accident. That just worked out. I can't believe how well that worked. I started this segment to do a whole spiel about the curse, and it's snowballed into something else. It's monoculture that nobody is watching. There's your take. I think it's must-see television that nobody is watching. I think it's the best television show that I've ever seen in my fucking life. I swear to God. In my life. I love it. I would recommend it to anybody. I will say, if you do plan on watching it, there are 2 penises in the first episode. So if you can make it past that, I'm just giving you, that's the only, we do not do spoilers on this show for anything, but I will tell you that. And then there isn't another one until like episode 6 or something. So you're penis free for a few episodes, and then after that, so far we're good. One more episode to go. So far there have been no other penises. Well, technically there was a whole thing with like a magazine. One of the characters was a bunch of penises, right? Hey, it happens. It happens. It's a TV show. It's HBO, basically. It's A24. It's A24. A24, the new HBO, is kind of the worry, maybe the concern, which would mean that this proverbial golden age has passed with A24, as they sort of pivot away from wanting to distribute these like art house indie films. They're like, no, we want fucking blockbusters, baby. And then this trailer for Civil War comes out, and you're like, at first you see Alex Garland. For years we knew he was making this movie. Finally get the trailer, and we're like, oh, whoa, this is like a big Alex Garland movie. Like, this is not the Alex Garland that we're used to. Like, his movies, I don't want to say they've gotten smaller, because it was Ex Machina first, right? Ex Machina, Annihilation, Men. The scale of those movies, like, it's kind of all over the place. Civil War looks like it's huge. And that they finished filming this movie like damn near 2 years ago. They finished filming it they started filming it the month that Men came out, right? They were done filming this movie like a year and a half ago. And people were like, why is this taking so long? And he was like, CGI. And I remember being like, what? Even when Beau is Afraid came out, people were like, why did this take so long to come out? And Ari Aster was like, CGI. And people were like, what? And then they saw it and they were like, oh, it was the big penis. Oh. Sorry, I said we don't do spoilers, and then I spoiled something. Maybe I'll bleep that out. I'm not going to remember to bleep that out. Sorry, there's a big penis in the movie. Well, that's not a spoiler. I forgot. I'm allowed to warn you if there's a penis. Okay, well, then there's a big penis, and not like a big penis. I mean like a literal, like a monster penis. Like, like it's a big, like the point is that. The point is that it's like a Scooby Doo monster penis, not like a monster penis. Let's move on. I'm just thinking about like, what if we did like a community list, and it's like, if there's a penis in the movie, you have to put it on the list, and so that way people know when they look at, like, if they're like, I want to watch this movie, and they're like, oh, but I'm watching it like with my parents. And I don't, if there's a penis in it, I don't want to watch this. Oh wait, hold on, I got a list for this, and then they pull up the list. Didn't John Mayer just come out and he was like, my kink is when people are like, oh, John has a guy for that, and I don't remember what he called it, a repliance kink, I think is what he said it was. What the fuck? Like when somebody, if you said like, oh, I need to know if this movie has a penis in it. And John Mayer knew about this website about a list of movies and if it had a penis in it or not. And someone goes, oh, John knows a list that has, like, he would get horny. I swear to God, I will put the article somewhere on the screen. I swear to God, he said this. So maybe with great power comes great responsibility. If we're going to make this list, John Mayer is going to find out about it. He's going to get horny. I'm sorry, Grandma. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. But I'm sorry. All right, let me wrap up the show. If you are, hey, I'm editing for Rusty. I don't want to wrap up before I say this. I'm editing for Rusty Buckets now on his second channel. Also Rusty Buckets. Maybe I'll link it in the description on YouTube. I'm editing his videos now. So it sucks. I can already watch the first one and be like, dude, there are a million things wrong with this. So I'm almost excited to get into the second one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. Because I can already tell with his videos, similar to how I am with mine, the whole, like, what's your favorite video? Mine is always the most recent one I made. And then as soon as I upload another one, the one before that literally means nothing to me. Like, means nothing to me. And it doesn't exist to me. Sometimes I'll still read comments, but as soon as the next video goes up, I'm on to the next thing, you know? And that's suddenly the thing that I'm most proud of. There are very few things that I could look back on and they've stood the test of time and, you know, are on like that Mount Rushmore of like, I can look back and be like, yes, this is good content. You know, the Cade interviews up there, the Milwaukee videos up there. I could think of, you know, some other ones, but for the most part, I'm excited for this, to be editing his videos. I mean, I think it's a good way for me to, creatively get some shit out while also doing something good, for somebody that I care about in Jacob. So almost selfishly, I guess maybe that's a selfish thing to say, but, even if it is, fuck it. It feels great. So, alrighty, folks. If you are listening to this on Spotify, be sure to rate 5 stars. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, be sure to leave a like. Be sure to leave a nice comment for the algorithm. Maybe I'll make some merch one day that's like, what should the merch say if I ever did? Because I always think about it. If I want to go like, you know, like a me-ism, a Motown Noah-ism, like something fastball related, or like, I don't know, something about January 6th, something, you know, something January 6th adjacent, something Scooby Doo monster penis adjacent, you know? Or do I just make it like the coping hour or like, you know what I mean? Do I just do something simple like that? I think it's funnier. I don't know which is better, but I also never really know what the easiest way to do merch is. Also what the cheapest way is, and one that is preferably free. For me at least, or like as close to free as is humanly possible. But I also just don't really, the whole merch thing isn't really my style. I've never done it. When we did it on the Bun and Cardigan show, like it was usually James's idea. I was always really on board with it because I do love the idea of merch, and I think the merch we did for Bun and Cardigan show was sick. I have no regrets about it at all. But just to say, like I say that just to say, even that it wasn't totally my idea, I was just like, yeah, that's cool. And on this channel, I've just never done it. So, alrighty. If you're watching this on the YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. I will catch you guys in the next
primary
one.
Control.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Primary control.
beautiful,
Primary control.
beautiful,
Primary control.
beautiful.